Job and his 3 friends, those 3 wonderful friends. And then that wife he married, just curse God and die. I don't know which is worse. Him losing all of his cattle, his health, his friends, or keeping her. I don't know which one is worse. And everybody's got their opinions about what's going on. And then finally, God shows up in the 38th chapter of Job, and he says this. I'm going to speak, and you're going to listen. And he speaks out of a tornado. And here's what he says. Job, where were you when I created the earth? He says, who is this who darkeneth counsel with words without knowledge? In other words, who's this guy, Job, who is speaking a lot and doesn't have a clue what he's talking about? Do you ever meet people who state opinion as though it were fact? Who constantly go back to something that has never, ever worked. See, I was convinced I could not lose weight. It was impossible for me. I had tried everything. Trust me. I knew every diet there was. I bought all the powders, all the shakes, all the protein. All it did was make a bunch of other people rich. But you know what I kept doing? Going back to things that didn't work. The second reason we fall asleep is that we forget who we are. Amen. Listen to these verses. Verse 5. Jesus was very fond of Martha, Mary, and Lazarus. Verse 11. Our friend Lazarus has gone to sleep. Verse 14. He told them plainly, Lazarus. Verse 43. Then he shouted, Lazarus. Read this chapter. That's the word that dominates this chapter. Lazarus. You know why? Because that's the core of his problem. Yeah. What's his name? Man. You know what Lazarus means? Poor man. Who was brought back to life. Poor man. Who was brought back to life. Every person needs to answer 3 questions. Number 1, Lord, who am I? Amen. Number 2, what do you think of me? Number 3, what's my real name? Yes, Lord. It's interesting, Jesus answered those 3 questions when God answered them when Jesus was baptized. Because the voice came from heaven. Yes. Jesus, this is my Son, in whom I am well pleased. Yes. Right. Number 1, who am I? Jesus. What do you think of me? I'm well pleased. Amen. What's my real name? Jesus. Wow. When you travel internationally, you have to fill out what they call a tourist card or a visitor's card. And if it's a Latin-speaking country, it'll be in Spanish. So you have to learn what things like surname. What's a surname? First time I was traveling, I was like, oh my God, what's a surname? Well, a surname is your last name. Like Huckleberry, Canterbury. Okay, sweetheart. Brother Canterbury, I'll tell you right now. Brother Buckleberry, I'll tell you right now. But you know what the other name is? The other name is your given name, which of course is your first name. You don't really have a choice what your last name is. All right. That comes with your birth certificate. But your first name was given to you. wonder how many names we've had given to through the years that are, in fact, not us.
Come on. Come on.
I grew up with a nickname, and it was Dennis the Menace. Because of the popular television show when I was a little boy, and my father pastored 2 churches. And so we constantly had visitors coming over to our house, and they would inevitably come in, grab my cheeks, and say, "You're so cute. Are you Dennis the Menace?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I'll cut your tires." No, I'm serious. I cut their tires. I cannot tell you how many visitors came over to our house, and when they left, they had to change their tires. I was a drug dealer. I sold drugs in the basement of my father's church.
Come on. Yeah.
I sold acid, or LSD, out of the men's room in my father's church, and there was a little door in the glass window, and I would put the drugs out the window, bring the cash in the window, because I'm Dennis the Menace! See, the thing about a name is that you either live up to it or down to it. And that's all I ever heard. You're Dennis the Menace. I remember one time, my father had to come out of the pulpit in the middle of the sermon because I'm in the basement wailing on a kid. I got the whole youth group on drugs because I'm the menace.
Come on.
Well, what were you?
Oh my God.
Stupid? Won't amount to much? Why aren't you like your sister? Fatso? Twiggy? Gay? Weird? Different? Black sheep?
Come on.
What's the name that you grew up with that was never you?
Come on. Come on.
And you know, there comes a time you've got to discover who you are. It's like God appears to Adam and says, "Adam! Where are you, Adam?"
Yep.
Let me ask you a question. You really believe God didn't know where Adam was? God knew where Adam was. Adam didn't know where Adam was.
Right.
Isn't it something? Eve talks to the snake. Now, I always tell people, if you see a snake talking, whatever you do, don't talk back. Nothing good can come from talking to snakes.
Right.
If I'm in the backyard and I see a snake talking, I'm running, man. So Eve talks to the snake. Eve is deceived by the snake, as the Bible says. Eve eats the fruit. Eve gives fruit to her husband so that he can eat.
Yeah.
And God says, "Adam, what have you done?" Because God expected Adam to know who he was. And that he was the primary carer and keeper of the garden and was to keep out all intruders.
Yeah. Amen.
Who are you? Who are you?
Amen. Come on.
We fall asleep because we return to something that doesn't work. We forget who we are. Then number 3, we carry family baggage. You know, it's funny. You have Lazarus, Mary, Martha. Now, we come to know Mary and Martha back there in Luke 10. You know the story. Jesus is teaching in their homes, places. And Martha's in the kitchen frying chicken for Jesus. And Mary is seated at the feet of Jesus. And Martha becomes very angry and says, Jesus, why don't you tell her to help me? I need help frying this chicken. Yeah. And Jesus said, let me paraphrase it, I don't want your chicken. And he goes, Martha, Martha, Martha. Like the Brady Bunch. Martha, Martha, Martha. You are worried about anything. That's funny, worry. Worry. It's like putting smoke in a bag. It's like giving a pig a bath. Never give a pig a bath. Number one, it wastes your time. Number two, it annoys the pig. We love to preach about Mary and Martha. And of course, Mary, quite contrary. I mean, here's Mary, who Jesus said chose the better part, sitting at the feet of Jesus. And you know, she's on his Tape of the Month club. She's a primary subscriber to his newsletter. She supports his ministry. I mean, Mary. Amen. Great Holy Mary. And then we have the worry wart, Martha. But the story changes here in John 11. Verse 20 says, now Martha, as soon as she heard Jesus was coming, went and met him. But Mary sat still in the house. Later, Mary will come out and be very accusatory of Jesus and say, if you'd have been here 4 days ago, my brother wouldn't have died.
Come on. Come on.
Isn't it funny how the tables are suddenly turned? Instead of Mary at the feet of Jesus, it's Martha.
Come on.
And instead of Mary at the feet of Jesus, she's sitting at home, upset that Jesus didn't do it her way.
Come on.
This family's messed up.
Yeah.
They got issues. And here's the funny thing. Look at John 11, verse 5. This is so classic. It says, now Jesus loved Martha and her sister and Lazarus. Oh my. Look who didn't even get an honorable mention. Mary, quite contrary, the head of the cassette tape club. There was a guy in the airport, and he's carrying these two big heavy suitcases, and some guy comes up and says, sir, do you have the time? It's like, aren't there clocks around here? I got these two big suitcases. So he put the suitcases down, he hits his watch, and he says, yeah, I made this watch. He goes, where are you going? He goes, London. He goes, what hotel you staying at? He told him. He confirmed his hotel right off his watch. Oh my God, I've never seen anything like that. He goes, you got restaurant reservations? Well, no. Where were you planning to go? Well, I was planning to go to this something. He made him reservations right out of his watch. He gave him the forecast for the week, weather-wise. He goes, oh my God, I gotta have my watch. He goes, well, I made one for me and one for my son. He goes, there's no way I want to sell it. He goes, I'll give you $500 right now for that watch. He says, no, seriously. It's just, I kind of made it for me and my son. I don't really want to sell it. I'll give you $1,000. And no, really. He goes, I'll give you $10,000 in cash. I got it right now. $10,000? He goes, yeah. He goes, sold. Guy gives him the cash, takes his watch off, he's playing with it. He goes, this is the most amazing thing I've ever seen. So he goes, well, have a good flight. He's running off the